This is a short tutorial video that's going to show you how to deploy an instance of MyTardis onto some NeCTAR cloud nodes using the MyTardis NeCTAR Deploy app, which is something we've come up with for this particular project, the Bioscience data platform. And we're going to be using some software called Chef, which is called in the category of deployment configuration management, and that allows you to point at a server and say, I'd like this application rolled out on there, and it does it automatically for you. So the reason you'd want to do that, aside from ease of installation onto a server, is cloud nodes such as NeCTAR or Amazon are supposed to be temporary entities. They're supposed to be scalable, so they're supposed to expand and contract with varying demand. They're also supposed to be redundant. So we've come up with this app that is supposed to be not used by the end user, but used by other machines, so used by servers themselves to manage that demand dynamically. So this is just a little Python application, and it's a command line application because it's meant to be used as an API by other machines, and it's going to deploy MyTardis on a server using Chef. And it's going to use this Chef script, known as a recipe in Chef terminology, to do that. And we also put quite a bit of work into enhancing an already existing MyTardis Chef recipe that will be to make it compatible with NeCTAR instances. And we also tested it with Amazon. I've actually installed the MyTardis NeCTAR Deploy app already. That required me to download those files, put them in a directory, make sure I had Python installed, and install the requirements, which is an automated install procedure, but it does take time, so I've skipped that step. And what I care about in this directory here, this directory is the MyTardis.py app, which is what we're going to use on the command line to not only start a NeCTAR server, but roll a MyTardis out onto it and do some other things I'll show you in a second. So this is the settings file for the MyTardis NeCTAR Deploy app, and I'm just going to gloss over some of the parameters here that need to be set before we can start rolling out MyTardis onto NeCTAR nodes. The basic section here is pretty much the barrier to logging into a NeCTAR server anyway. So that's to say you need a valid username for the instance, root or CentOS or Ubuntu or whatever you use to log into a NeCTAR node anyway, and the password, or probably more likely the private key that you're going to use. So they're just standard SSH parameters. Then you set the security groups, so what ports are going to be open. At the very least you want SSH and probably port 80, the web port, open in MyTardis' case, and some other selections you can make are the size of your VM, so the instances you're going to deploy, how big and powerful are they going to be, and those options are available on the NeCTAR site, as is the image. So you choose an installation of Linux, and the particular flavor we've chosen here I know is CentOS 6, and you can find that in the image catalog on the NeCTAR site. You do need your NeCTAR cloud credentials, which you can also find on the site, so you're able to start and stop nodes using this app. And also you need the location of the MyTardis Chef recipe. So that's currently stored on GitHub, and we're going to be using the example data branch, which is like the regular branch that rolls out an instance of MyTardis, but this one actually grabs some example data and metadata from our repository and rolls it out, so you at least have a test account and some test data to play with on deployment. Alright, so I've pre-configured the settings that we need to launch MyTardis on a NeCTAR node for myself, and I'm going to demonstrate how to create a VM now. So it's a Python script. We'll execute MyTardis.py on it with the -c little parameter there, and I should note that instructions on using this within readme.md in the source code, and also on the website for the source code, the GitHub repository, which is linked in the YouTube comments. I'll hit enter on that and get a node created. You can see that creating a VM instance. Okay, we've already received an IP address for this new NeCTAR instance, and it took all of 12 seconds to get a new CentOS server that we're going to roll out MyTardis onto. We have our new NeCTAR cloud node and an IP address to connect to. I'm going to copy the IP address and issue a new command, Python MyTardis.py-m with the target IP address, and that's going to say roll out a MyTardis onto it using our chef script. I'll hit enter on that. And so what's going to happen now is chef's going to install itself onto the node. It's going to install all the dependencies it needs. It's going to check out the fresh copy of MyTardis from the repository, the code repository, install itself, configure the database, install some example data and test accounts, and let us know when it's done. This process can take anywhere between 5 minutes and 25 minutes, depending on how fast the repositories are for all the dependencies at the current point in time. Now, I'm going to paste the entire output for this in the comments, but I'm just going to cut this video here to save everyone having to watch the command line for any number of minutes, and we'll return shortly with a fresh instance of MyTardis to demonstrate. And we're done. The deployment's completed, and we should have a MyTardis that has been put onto the server and is actively running on the IP address that we set it to. So if I go into the browser and paste that IP address, correct, we have a MyTardis waiting for us, and because we installed the example data branch, we should be able to log in the default username and password that was set, and then peruse the example data. So if I go into here, you can see that there are example experiments. This one's courtesy of the University of Queensland microscopy deployment, and we can get at the files. Another feature built into this little command line app is the ability to test MyTardis installations that we just rolled out. And the reason you'd want to do that is we can actually automate the testing and deployment of new NeCTAR nodes or Amazon nodes or wherever we want to deploy MyTardis, and we can have that run periodically, say daily or every hour, and that way we get instant feedback on whether a particular build or deployment configuration is failing, and we can tell the wider community or automatically notify them. The command for that is to say, instead of -m, -t, and what that will do is execute unit tests with a test database and some test data, and it'll return OK when it's done, if everything went OK. And so we've run the unit tests 107 seconds later, 137 tests, and the result is everything went just fine. Now we could take that output and automate it. In fact, we are going to, and we'll report on it, and then everyone will have some peace of mind about both our deployment script and the MyTardis code base as a whole, and that'll set us up very well to hit the coming milestones for this project. One last thing to show is the destroying of instances. So if in an automated scenario we're deploying, say, 5 different MyTardises on different instances of Linux, CentOS, Ubuntu, for instance, and then we're going to run the tests and get the results, well, the next thing we probably want to do is not leave them tying up CPUs on the NeCTAR cloud. So we destroy those NeCTAR nodes, and the way we do that is with the -d command. So you just point it at the same IP address, -d, and we should bring down that server that we just brought up. Sure you want to delete? Absolutely. Just going to take that and make sure it's down. We also remove it from the chef configuration, as the chef deployment software tracks where its deployments are. So we've removed it from there, we've terminated the instance, and if I go to the IP address we were at before, we should get a blank NeCTAR cloud page. So as you can see, the IP address did not respond, which means the server's been shut down, which is exactly what we wanted. And that concludes the demo of the MyTardis NeCTAR deploy app. And as I said, it sets us up quite well to hit future milestones for the NeCTAR project Bioscience data platform. It also sets the MyTardis community up well to start doing some robust automated testing. And just check the notes for any further information that you might need. There's some detailed technical information, and you can try out the code yourself. And thank you very much.